Hi, welcome to Crazy with Crash. Today I'm going to be talking about the loss of two naval special warfare warriors. This was not a video I was planning on making, hence the fact I'm at my parents' house actually, because my house is being remodeled. There's a dozen people over there with Jack Daniels. I hope not with Jack Daniels. But sorry, this is a serious video. I don't want me to start it off with whiskey. But I've been watching the news ever since last Monday, and every night I keep thinking they're going to do a more in-depth story about the two Navy SEALs that died off the coast of Somalia on January 11th. Maybe there's a good reason why they haven't. Maybe it's to protect the families and friends. Maybe it's to protect classified military information. I don't know. Maybe there is a reason people shouldn't be talking about it. And if there is, please let me know in the comments. But when I read the headlines last Monday about these two brave men, it made me cry for the loss of their families and friends and for how understated what they said happened and what the horror of the actual event probably was. So I wanted to do a short video, not as much about their deaths, but more about their impressive careers and a little bit about the tragedy that happened on January 11th in the Indian Ocean. Now, what's happening in that section of the world is a whole different fascinating story. It revolves around the Houthi and Yemen and international shipping and Israel and Hamas. It's so much stuff. But this is a quick video about the two brave men who lost their lives. 27-year-old Navy Special Warfare Operator Second Class Nathan Gage Ingram and 37-year-old Navy Special Warfare Operator First Class Christopher J. Chambers. They were identified on Monday, January 22nd. This was one day after an 11-day search and rescue mission officially concluded, according to NBC. Following the incident on the 11th, US, Japan, Spain, they searched more than 21,000 miles of sea surface for days before it turned into a recovery effort on Sunday. The Associated Press reported that both of the men were part of Navy SEAL Team 3. Nathan Gage Ingram had enlisted in the Navy on September of 2019, and he graduated from boot camp at Recruit Training Command in Great Lakes, Illinois, in November of the same year, according to the Navy. He served on the West Coast SEAL units ever since he passed the qualification training in Coronado in 2021. He had various awards and decorations, and it seems like he was a very respected man. Christopher Chambers was a native of Maryland, and he enlisted in the Navy in 2012. He was assigned to the West Coast SEAL unit in 2014 after completing boot camp recruit training at the same Great Lakes region just outside Chicago. Chambers was born in Maryland, but later he went to Massachusetts, where he was on the swim team, had multiple awards, went to UMass Amherst, where the same happened, and eventually fulfilled his dream of becoming a Navy SEAL. Both of these men, they sound lovely, but it takes a certain kind of champion just to be able to make it as a SEAL. Do you know, well, you don't know, but I'm going to tell you, my brother was in the Navy and he always wanted to be a SEAL and he respected these men so much and he would talk about them. He would talk about the experience of what they went through and how much training and how strong these men were all the time. So looking at saying that they fell off a boat, it has to be a whitewashed version of what happened. It says that they went on an unflagged ship on the 11th that was transporting weapons to Yemen. And it was reported as Ingram climbed the ladder, he fell into the gap between the waves the two boats had created, the SEALs combatant craft and the vessel that they were trying to board. And when he plunged into the depths of the Arabian Sea, his companion, Chambers, jumped in to try to save him. And with the weapons and the heavy equipment, they just didn't make it out. You know, the Boston Herald has a nice tribute article. I want to read it. In fact, I'm going to share my screen and see what you guys think of this. Again, I apologize for this video. I was not planning on making it, but I wanted somebody to make one. And if you know somebody that makes way better videos than me, which is pretty much anyone, especially when I'm at my parents', look, have a halo if I move from side to side. Please, these men deserve it. So it says Death on the Arabian Sea. This was by Lolita Balder from the Associated Press. How a Navy SEAL fell into rough waters and another died trying to save him. Under the darkness of night and the roiling high seas off the coast of Somalia, members of the U.S. Navy SEAL Team 3 began to climb aboard an unflagged ship that was carrying illicit Iranian-made weapons to Yemen. As Navy Special Warfare Operator Second Class Nathan Gage Ingram began climbing the ladder onto the boat, he slipped, falling into a gap the waves had created between the vessels and the SEAL's combatant craft. As he went under, Navy Special Warfare Operator First Class Christopher J. Chambers jumped into the gap to try to save him, according to U.S. officials familiar with the incident. It was an instinctive act, honed by years of training, one teammate going to another's aid. But weighed down by their body armor, weapons, and heavy equipment, the two SEALs plunged into the depths of the Arabian Sea and died, said the officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to provide details of the January 11th raid. The mission came as the interdiction of weapons to Yemen takes on new urgency. The Yemen-based Houthis have been conducting a campaign of missile and drone attacks against commercial and Navy ships in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden over Israel's war on Hamas in the Gaza Strip. And U.S. retaliatory strikes have so far not deterred their assaults. This is Lieutenant Chambers, or Special Warfare Operator First Class Chambers. I'm going to get back to the article. The 11-day search and rescue mission to locate the two SEALs was called off Sunday and became a recovery effort. And on Monday, the Navy SEALs released their names after their families were notified. Chris and Gage selflessly served their country with unwavering professionalism and exceptional capabilities, said Captain Blake Cheney, commander of the Naval Special Warfare Group 1, which oversees SEAL Team 3. This loss is devastating for NSW, our families, the special operations community, and across the nation. At the White House, President Joe Biden said in a statement, "Jill and I are mourning the tragic deaths of two of America's finest, Navy SEALs who were lost at sea while executing a mission off the coast of East Africa last week." He said the SEALs represent the very best of our country, pledging their lives to protect their fellow Americans. Our hearts go out to the family members, loved ones, friends, and shipmates who are grieving for these two brave Americans. The U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet is conducting an investigation into the incident. The probe is expected to examine whether the SEALs were properly equipped and trained for the mission, whether procedures were followed, and any decisions regarding the timing and approval of the raid, including the weather and the state of the seas. According to officials, the commandos launched from the USS Lewis B. Puller, a mobile sea base, and they were backed up by drones and helicopters. They loaded onto a small special operations combat craft driven by Naval Special Warfare crew to get to the boat. It was the type of boarding for which SEALs train routinely, and illegal weapons moving from Iran to Yemen-based Houthis have been a persistent concern, particularly as the rebels continue to target commercial vessels in the region. The team boarding the Dhow was facing more than a dozen crew members. They ultimately seized an array of Iranian-made weaponry, including the cruise and ballistic missile components such as propulsion and guidance devices and warheads, as well as air defense parts, Central Command said. The raid was the latest seizure by the U.S. Navy and its allies of weapons shipments bound for the rebels, who have launched a series of attacks now threatening the global trade in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. The seized missile components include types likely used in those attacks. Chambers and Ingram, who were assigned to a West Coast-based SEAL unit, were exceptional warriors, cherished teammates, and dear friends to many within the Naval Special Warfare community, said Cheney. SEAL Chambers, 37 of Maryland, enlisted in the Navy in 2012. I think I already said this. And Ingram, 27 of Texas, enlisted in 2019. So this was a really nice article. Go back and read it yourself. I'm sure it would be better than me reading it. But this was such a tragedy. But what makes it to me such a tragedy, the fact that I'm sure the reports are true what they said, but it wasn't that they fell into the water. These men are so well trained. The situation had to have been horrible. And I didn't want, though, so that's what made me cry when I read this article, thinking of the pain and suffering the family must be going through, knowing what strong, capable men their men were. But I didn't want to make this video about this horrible event. I wanted it to be about what these two men did, what they had accomplished. Um, there isn't much said about their families, which I'm glad of because this world is crazy. But they accomplishment of becoming as a SEAL is so impressive. And I'm not even talking about the super secret missions that I'm sure they've accomplished. They were some of the most elite warriors in the world. The Navy SEALs are they're super elite. We've all heard of them. There are 8 official SEAL teams in the U.S. Navy, on the East Coast and the West Coast, 4 on each. Each team has 8 operational platoons and headquarter elements that consist of 16 SEALs, 2 officers, and 14 enlisted men. There are also reserve teams of Navy SEALs and 3 delivery vehicle teams. So if I'm doing my math right, there's probably about 150 active Navy SEALs. Guys, there are 1.4 million people in the military. These guys, they're the Lionel Messis, they're the Jerry Rices, the LeBron Jameses of the military. They were so impressive. They don't, when they lose them, it's a huge number that they've lost. So now they've lost 2 this year. According to a Navy SEAL organization, 4 were killed last year, and then 8 were killed in 2022. It's such a loss anytime any of these men are gone. But what does it take to become one of these most elite special forces on the planet? Well, buckle up because the journey to becoming a Navy SEAL kicks off with the infamous BUDS basic underwater demolition SEAL training. It is a grueling 6-month program. It separates the contenders from the pretenders. Picture this. Hell Week is 5.5 days of nonstop physical, mental challenges. Sleep, forget about it. They have to endure cold water swims, relentless physical training, and a minimal sleep to test their resilience and teamwork. And this is after 6 months of training. But once they survive the Hell Week, no, excuse me, that's just at the beginning. Once they survive it, they then have to move on to SEAL qualification training. And this phase focuses on skills like diving, land warfare, parachuting. It's where candidates truly become versed in a diverse set of skills that are required to become a Navy SEAL. They have to have firearms training. They have to jump from a helicopter at 30,000 feet, or they call them halo jumps. But there's even more. They have to specialize. They have to be a sniper or a medic or special reconnaissance. They don't attain anything short of extraordinary. They're trained to adapt to any environment, from dense jungles to arid deserts. They can accomplish their mission no matter what terrain they're in. And it's not about their physical prowess. I mean, I'm sure they got great muscles, but they have a mental toughness that is paramount. They think well under extreme pressure. Their critical thinking and split-second decision making can mean the difference between life and death, and they are incredible at it. And it is these skills that set them apart. It's incredible. So this is, again, a really short video, a really odd one, I'm sure, but I really wanted to put something out to say thank you to these guys. You know, there's soldiers all over the earth, and they're all fighting for their country. They all believe, hopefully, in what they're doing. But the fact that these men were making or trying to make the world a safer place and died doing it, it's more than 99.9 of us can say that we're doing with our lives. Me, I'm about to go pull up tile, but I just wanted to do a video to really remember these two brave men and to have a glimpse into the incredible training that transforms individuals into Navy SEALs. So hats off to Navy Special Warfare Operator Second Class Nathan Gage Ingram and Navy Special Warfare Operator First Class Christopher J. Chambers. They were extraordinary men who embodied the spirit of resilience, adaptability, and unwavering dedication. I guess that's it. So until next time, stay curious and stay crazy.